Sudhir sir. Yeah,
Yes, you are audible.
thank you so much. So, on behalf of Vibrant HR and the Success Mantra, I would like to welcome you all for one more interactive session with Honorable Shri Atul Kotkar sir. He is a Regional Provident Fund Commissioner for Pune. I don't think the much introduction is required for him because we have already shared the profile, and he is very adventurous person. And the moment he took a charge the, of this particular regional office, so we know all those activities which are taken, including digitalization and everything. So just to brief in short, I would like to put some highlights across you guys. So during COVID, the total number of claims what the Provident Fund office, his office has settled are 62,000 plus claims are got settled during this particular COVID. It is a COVID advance which the Provident Fund office disbursed. And when we talk about this particular amount, it is 1.99 CR. That is almost 200 crore the amount, COVID advance amount got distributed by Pune Regional Commissioner Office. And that is a fantastic work because this is the juncture situation when people are having financial needs. So kudos to him and his entire team. The other claims which are settled during lockdown are close to 35,000 claims, excluding this particular things. So on behalf of the Vibrant HR and the Success Mantra, I would like to welcome Kotkar sir, and over to you sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Kotkar sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for organizing this.
सर तुमचा आवाज थोडा कमी येतो ऍक्च्युअली आणि व्हिडिओ सुरू नाही. Yeah.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, you are audible, sir. You are audible.
Now, am I
Yes.
audible now?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. I've received a set of questions. So
Yes.
primarily, I'll be focusing on those, and I have designed this webinar in such a way that all these questions which are asked by you guys till yesterday are automatically answered. And then also we have this Q&A box. No, I can take your questions there.
Yes,
And
sir.
as Shankar sir has said that if anybody
Sir, your voice
ask
and
a question live in this webinar, during the Q&A session that is at the end of this webinar, we will definitely take those also. So be patient. And
sir, okay, we request you to put on your video, sir. So you will be visible to
breaking in
those.
between.
Yeah, yeah, please.
Video is on.
I think there is some network. Yes, sir. Now we can see.
Am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are.
Guys, you can type an answer. Voice is okay. Somebody saying.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes.
Audible and visible also.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. If any issues there, kindly type so that. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll try to talk with little slower pace so that though it breaks, you will not be disturbed. Okay. So basically, as you all know, Provident Fund Office controls or regulates or monitors or gives services for the Provident Fund account. And once you become member of the Provident Fund, you automatically become member. So once you become a Provident Fund member, you actually become member for 3 schemes, namely Employees Provident Fund Scheme, Employees Pension Scheme, and Employees Deposit Linked Insurance Scheme. So going to the scheme and understanding the schemes, or the modalities about the schemes one by one, I'll start with the Provident Fund account. You all know that you can claim your Provident Fund and various services regarding Provident Fund through online facilities. I have received various questions regarding Provident Fund. So what is a Provident Fund? Basically, understand this is a fund which you have to utilize at the time of your retirement. Okay, many people don't know that your Provident Fund is completely secured fund. Your Provident Fund account is not attachable any court cannot issue any decree or any charge against this fund amount. No, some people know who have suffered a huge loss in their businesses. Then they have run away from the country, but still their provident fund is secured with us. So what I'm trying to tell over here is this fund amount is for your uh, retirement days. So nobody, not even the courts, can attach this amount. It is entirely secured. Okay, so this amount is completely tax free. Okay, when I say tax free, it is tax free at the time of entry. When you make a contribution up to 1.5 lakhs, it is tax free. Then when you uh, earn interest on it, that interest is completely tax free. And when you withdraw it, that withdrawal is completely tax free. Okay, but there is a small area, gray area, where since 2016 our department, not our department, income tax department has started taxing provident fund withdrawals. See, if you withdraw provident fund prematurely means before completion of 5 years of service. If you withdraw your provident fund before completion of 5 years of service, your provident fund amount, which is over and above 50,000 rupees, becomes taxable. And tax slab is the slab which is applicable to you for that particular financial year. So if you are ready to wait, if you really consider this fund as a retirement fund, and if you do not make premature withdrawals in the sense not advances, withdrawals in the sense final withdrawals, complete settlement, complete closure of account, filling up form 19. Okay, so if you do that thing, then this amount becomes taxable. Otherwise, this fund is entirely tax free. Then another benefit of provident fund account is the interest is paid to you on monthly basis, though it is accounted annually, but your monthly contributions earn monthly interest. So you get a compounding effect. Every one of you must be aware about the compounding effect. At present, the interest rate paid by provident fund department or declared by the government for, I cannot say for the financial year, but at present, the interest rate applicable is 8.65%. Yes, I know that 8.5% was approved by the CBT in its meeting in March, but this interest rate is yet to be notified. As it is yet to be notified, we are still using the interest rate which was declared for the financial year 2018-19. So if anybody is going for the settlement today, we are going to give him interest rate with a rate of 8.65%. I think this is the best interest rate available. If I give my personal home loan example, my home loan interest rate is right now 7.2%. So, no, taking loan from home loan and putting in EPF will give you more interest. I'm not giving you this idea. I'm just trying to tell you that right now, at present, yes, it is not yet notified for the previous financial year yet. It may be revised. I don't know what will happen next, but as of now, today, it is 8.65%. Then somebody has asked a question about 60 days waiting period and frequent attritions and all. Yes, nowadays, no, nobody is into this kind of concept that a permanent job or no, except few like us, like those who are in government or other type of services. Many of you like to go for better opportunities immediately once you get them. So attrition is there, and people frequently change their jobs. So when you change your job, see, this para 69 of our scheme is grossly misinterpreted since years, since ages. You are supposed to know this is a provident fund, this is a retirement fund. The act makes it, or the statute makes it mandatory just because it wants, the government wants you to take care of your retirement days. Okay, so when you'll not be active working, you should have some financial support. That's why this is a statutory and mandatory thing. Okay, so government wants you to keep this money till 58 years of your age minimum. But no, there was concept, or there was understanding among the employees that once you change a job, you can withdraw from the previous company. Okay, why this used to happen and why this was a norm and why everybody accepted that as a normal thing? It was not correct. It was not correct. It was not legal also. Para 69 tells if you are unemployed continuously for 60 days, okay, you are unemployed, you are खाने के पड़े हैं भाई यहाँ पे, और आप 58 की बात कर रहे हो. So when you are not having enough funds with you for your own survival, there is a clause that if you are not employed immediately for continuously for 60 days after you lose your job, after your last contribution is received, you can claim this amount. You can withdraw this fund so that you can invest somewhere, or you can start new business, or you can do something out of it and start earning, which is most important. So this provision was grossly misused, and everyone used to fill in the declaration that I am unemployed since last 60 days. Okay, and the physical form used to come to us and we used to settle it. But after the UN era, UN now after 2017 is completely Aadhaar linked. So one UN is only given to one member. He may change many jobs. He may change many jobs, but his UN is single. And we come to know when they apply for a claim, we come to know that he is already in service. So when you are in service, you are not supposed to withdraw the PF. Para 69 does not allow you to do that. You can withdraw it only after you attain 58 years of age. Okay. So final settlements are not possible when you are in service. Please note that. So when you are changing a job, kindly transfer it to the new. If you are multiple UNs, by mistake you are having a previous, if you were having a previous UN which was prior to 2017, and then after 2017 you got another UN, I would suggest that previous member ID amount kept in that previous member ID, you give a transfer request online or offline and get it transferred to your new member ID, so that your previous UN, which will be without any active account linked to it, will automatically get disintegrated, and your new UN will be your UN throughout your life. It will be useful for your family after your life. Okay, what I'm trying to tell you is your UN number is useful to you throughout your service, after your service when you are retired, and after your life when your family is receiving pension or other benefits out of it. So this UN thing is very important, and you can submit your transfer requests online or offline. Then somebody asked me, I am working in I was working in exempted trust. Exempted trust are those trusts wherein we have allowed them to run their own trust, and we are just checking once in a year whether they are doing everything correct or not. So he was working over there, and now he is working in an establishment which is complying with the Provident Fund Office. So he has to give request offline, or he can give a request through email. Yes, all exempted establishments are supposed to accept transfer requests, settlement request, any type of claim settlement request through email. Okay, if they are not providing you any online facility through SAP or other modules, then they have to accept this facility. They have to accept your claim forms, scanned claim forms through emails also. So if anybody is not accepting, so let us know. We will take that as a complaint and we'll start taking action. Okay, so you can raise a request through email. Then they'll give you a check, or they will send the check to the present office of EPFO wherein your establishment is complying. So that is form 13 you have to fill up, and you can fill up that offline as well as online. I would suggest you should do it online because you can effectively track it and you can effectively check whether it is credited or not, and no need to make unnecessary visits to this office. Okay. And vice versa, if you're working in an establishment which was complying with Provident Fund Office, and now we have started working with an establishment which is having its own exempted trust, similarly you can give a request to the Provident Fund Office to give a check in the name of the exempted establishment's trust. Again, you have to submit form 13. Here, beauty of this transfer claim is, see, many a times there are disputes with the previous employers. Many a times you guys don't complete your notice period. Many times there is accusation that मेरा laptop नहीं लौटाया, मेरा ये मेरा वो, मेरे client का some things he has done and all. I will not sign his form. I'll not do this thing. I will a number of things happen, and I receive a number of complaints. So when you are giving a request to transfer, you can submit your transfer form through your current employer also. You can submit transfer claim for your n number of previous employers. If you are working with the previous employer, say 15 years ago, then also you can submit your transfer claim form with the signature or attestation of your current employer, online, offline, in both the manner. So you are not at all required to go and visit your previous employer. Okay, but if you want to withdraw it, okay, if you are thinking that us time pe UN kaha tha and I'll just take out that money, I want to purchase a new Apple phone or something, or no, I can use that money for some other purpose, then guys, you will have to get attestation from your previous employer only. Okay, and if the previous establishment is closed as per our records, okay, then your KYC or other things can be done with other government agencies like bank manager and other things. Then see, your employer is a kind of trustee who is supposed to keep that money, whatever deducted from you, only for 15 days, and that money no, by the 15th of the next month it has to come to EPFO. So we are the custodians, so your money is safe with us. Even if he is not giving you signatures, you can file a complaint, give a copy to us, and we have a number of ways to get it done. I'll come to that. There is a point, duty of employer, and what actions we can take, and how your guys are supposed to, how the members are supposed to proceed with. Okay, so if there is any dispute, if there is a legal dispute between you guys, if there is any cases going on, then also nobody is supposed to keep hold on your provident fund account. Okay, your money is entirely safe with EPFO. Okay, just because somebody is not giving you signature on your attestation on your claim form, it does not mean that you are supposed to forget that provident fund amount. No, there are other ways also you can apply, provided these things are exhausted. First, we will definitely ask for employer's attestation. The reason is very simple, because employer only knows in whose account, in whose name this money is deposited. I know at least 4 Atul Kotkar named guys in this city. Okay, so anybody can come and claim that this is my amount. Okay, so until the employer says that this is the Atul Kotkar who was employed with me. Okay, now after Aadhaar era, it is very simple. That's why after Aadhaar era, we are not at all asking for employer's attestation. Okay, after 2017, if there is UN and it is Aadhaar linked, no need for employer's attestation. But all the previous accounts, yes, it is required. Okay, then you will ask a question, this is my money. If I'm not leaving the job, if I'm not resigning from the job, but still there'll be n number of needs. It is a social security amount, so there are n number of social needs, like my kid is in the college, or he's in the school, somebody is admitted in the hospital, or I want to construct a house, I want to purchase a flat, I want to decorate my house, do some furniture or something in that. There is a natural calamity, there is a pandemic, there is corona or some kind of pandemic is there. So for all these reasons, para 68 comes to your help. This is a non-refundable advance available from your provident fund account. You should not completely close your account. No need to completely withdraw by putting form 19 or 10C. Just apply for form 31 advance. You can apply immediate, you can apply with with 6 or 7 clicks and submitting 2 OTPs using Umang application. Okay, immediately the form comes to us and we try our best to settle it at the earliest. So it is very handy. We are trying our best to give all the services online. When you avail advance and this advance is not refundable, you are not supposed to return it. You can keep it. This advance is given you from your own money, but the benefit is your account is not completely closed, your service is intact. So when I'm going to the second point of pension now, employees pension scheme, it depends on how many years you have served. Your final, somebody asked me what is the pension calculation, I'll give you a raw calculation. which is mentioned in the scheme. What is the calculation? Pension is settled by applying a simple formula like pensionable service into pensionable salary divided by 70. Okay. So what is your pensionable salary? It is salary for your last 60 months, average salary for your last 60 months. Obviously, whatever you contribute today, suppose you are of my age, 30, 32 years, and your last salary will be the salary or the PF, like right now, wage ceiling for pension amount, pension contribution is 15,000. Suppose at that time it is 50,000 or 1 lakh. So my age 53 to 58, that salary average will be considered as pensionable salary. Am I correct? Okay. So whatever you have contributed today has no relation with what you are going to get over that there. Oh, at the time of retirement. So please understand. And then next factor is pensionable service. So this is your service. How many years you have served? So obviously, more the number of years you have served, more will be the pension. Correct now? If your service is increasing by even by 1 year, the factor will be more. Okay. So what I would like to tell you over here, even if you are changing various jobs, you should continuously keep on transferring the account. You should keep on linking it. Whenever you require money, you can withdraw it with the help of advance claim, with the help of para 68. It is a declaration based advance. Okay, no need to upload any document or anything. No, just declaration you sign and it is your own money. Just use it wisely because it is your own retirement fund. Okay, so again there is one more benefit for you. If you are serving for more than 20 years, if the service is for more than 20 years, 2 years additional weightage is given for your pension. Okay, 2 years additional amount is added and your pension amount goes further. It increases further. Okay, so all those who are serving for more than 20 years, definitely they'll get 2 years weightage. Then there is eligibility criteria. Everybody is not eligible. There has to be at least 10 years of service to become eligible for the pension. Again, this thing comes. So if you are taking out or settling your previous frequently, withdrawing the PF completely frequently, okay, complete withdrawal of PF of frequent counts will know how come your service will be more than 10 years. Please understand, our pension is, I feel PF's pension, Provident Fund Office, EPFO, whatever pension, employees pension schemes gives, is the best pension available today. Okay, I'm well aware that this is live on YouTube. I'm well aware that I'm on air, live, but I'm making the sentence with very huge responsibility. Yes, I can assure you this is the best because this is defined pension. Formula is defined. Know where your contribution is considered. If you consider it with other annuity based schemes, other pension schemes of other insurance agencies or other banks or other things, you will find it whatever you contribute, whatever you deposit over there, on that deposits you start receiving a pension. Here it is not like so. Here it is based on your service. Here it is based on your last salary. Your first salary may be anything, but your last salary is considered. So please understand. So this is the best benefit available. Then this pension, somebody has asked me what will happen if a member just works for 15 days and he dies, and what benefits will be available to his family. We'll take this case study. If somebody dies after 15 days of service and 1 ECR is received before his death, he'll get his Provident Fund balance, whatever for 1 month contribution, 15 days, whatever contribution or previous contribution was there, he'll get that. His family members will get that. That is Provident Fund amount. Second, his widow or the widower will get the pension throughout the life. Okay. It will be calculated based on the salary or wages. If it is less than 1,000 rupees, minimum 1,000 is guaranteed. Okay, widow or widower. If there are children and the children are, their age is less than 25 years, then 2 children, maximum up to 2 children can get
children pension up to their 25 years of age, up to they complete their 25 years of age. So with this 15 days of service, wife will get throughout the life, she will get pension, or widower will get the pension, or the husband, whoever, widower will get, and the children will get. Then insurance EDLI. Now EDLI calculation is slightly different. Employees deposit linked insurance is another thing. See, for pension, you are not contributing, your employer is contributing. Correct? 8.33 percentage to the wage, maximum wage ceiling of 15,000 is paid by the employer. Okay, we'll not go into CTC and other things. That is a different debate. But legally speaking, 12% comes from employee, 12% comes from employer, and out of that 12%, 8.33 percentage, considering the wage ceiling of 15,000, will go to the pension account. So you are getting that 8.33 percentage just because it is a statutory thing, a mandatory thing, and your employer is contributing. So it is a benefit of the scheme. Please understand, it is a benefit of the scheme. Then there is EDLI, Employees Deposit Link Insurance. Many of you may be aware, maybe not be aware. Yes, you are eligible for insurance also. Many of you are not aware because you guys are not contributing towards it. You are not contributing, but your employer is contributing on your account. Okay, on everybody's account, employer contributes towards employees deposit linked insurance. This amount is maximum 6 lakh rupees now. Yes, there was a minimum guaranteed 2.5 lakh rupees. We are waiting for the extension of the said notification. We are waiting for the extension of the said notification. Okay. Yeah. Waiting for the extension of the said notification, and this thing is minimums, like, sorry, maximum 6 lakh rupees. So employees deposit link insurance, that person will get, his family will get. So if somebody dies after 15 days, somebody asks this question. So same case study we are on. First benefit is provident fund accumulations in the account. Second benefit is pension to the wife, pension to children. Okay. Then third benefit is employees deposit linked insurance. This insurance will be paid immediately to the family members. Okay. Then next question asked is, if death occurs and there is no nomination. See, if there is nomination, then the nominee will get, there are clauses for the nomination. Okay. Somebody is prompting me to put my headsets on. Okay. There are clauses for the nomination. Nomination by a bachelor, nomination by a married person. Once you become married, you have to change it in your wife's or husband's name or something. Okay. Then there is a concept of dependent parents. Okay. So there is a concept of family members. Okay. So when the answer to the question which is asked, like if the death occurs and there is no nomination, who will get the benefit? So the provident fund benefit will be given to the family members in equal shares if there is no nomination. Okay. And this definition of family members does not include mature sons. What I say mature means major sons. Okay. Or married daughters. Parents are not included if they are not dependent. If they are dependent, they are included in the definition of family members. This definition of family members will change, or legal heirs will change, if there is personal law is applied, like Hindu Succession Act is different, and then Muslim personal law is different. So there are certain gray areas there. If there is no nomination and if there is no family member, who will get the provident fund accumulations? Anybody who is producing the succession certificate from the competent court will get it. Okay. So it goes like this. Then we'll come to the duties of the employer. Many of you have asked, my employer is not submitting my date of exit. Okay, it is duty of the employer as per para 36 to fill up form 5 and form 10. Form 10 is a mandatory return. If employers do not submit date of exit, give a request to them in writing through email. Make sure that you get a receipt of or reading email that you get, no, the employer has read the message kind of reply. uh, or you can send that letter kind of thing where you get a reply that so and so has received this thing. Make sure you get the documents proper. File a complaint with us. EPFO has authority to prosecute the employer for non-filing of mandatory returns. Prosecution will be in the court, and as per section 14 of the PF Act, employer will be penalized. That is one. Second thing is, this will be going on and still the employer is not willing to cooperate. Okay, the competent authority can allow you to submit physical claim forms. Okay. Or you can submit physical claim forms for transferring the amount. So this is solution for the query what you asked. And when you are transferring this thing, you can take attestation from the current employer, and as there is no date of exit, you can request to the PF office by submitting a claim form. In exceptional cases, that can be accepted. Because of this pandemic situation, right now we have put some restrictions at the inward and PRO section. So for this time being, and as still till date in the Pune city, we are working officially with 15% of the actual strength only. So there are certain limitations. So right now we will prefer online applications, but definitely this option can be used once these things are over. So that is okay. The next thing is, in this duty of the employer, first duty is towards the payment. See, I have told you already that employer is a trustee only for a few days. Okay, ultimate custodian is EPFO. He has authority to deduct amount from your salary just because Provident Fund Act has given him that authority. Okay, and further the Provident Fund Act has limited that authority by putting restrictions of regularly remitting the deducted dues to EPFO. So now, if the employer does not make this payment in time, so there are two bifurcations in this. One is 12% of employer share. It is his liability, his own liability. If he does not pay that in time, in 15 days, his share is 12% share, which he is contributing, employer is contributing, then EPFO can prosecute him based on your complaints, based on the documents available, based on the inspector's report and a number of other things. Definitely he can be prosecuted, and department will start inquiry under section 7A. Somebody has asked about section 7A also. I will touch section 7A also after some time. So department can start inquiry under section 7A for the assessment of dues. Okay. Then another part is deducting from the salary of the employee, and this is employee's contribution. If the employer is continuously deducting this from the salary of the employee and keeping that corpus with himself, not contributing, not depositing it with EPFO immediately before 15th of the next calendar month. Suppose the salary is for the month of June, paid by 7th of July, he must contribute whatever deducted from employee's salary by 15th of July. If he does not do so, on 16th of July, EPFO can prosecute the employer. EPFO can register a FIR with the police authorities. Even the employees can do so. A FIR can be registered for the breach of trust under section 406 and 409 of IPC. Okay, and then again the 7A inquiry can be initiated for assessment of the dues. And then during the 7A inquiry, there are further enforcing authorities available with the assessing authority. Those can be again utilized by the authority for assessment of the dues. Okay, so this action is different for employees contribution and different for employers contribution. Generally when we receive the complaint,
we no we immediately start assessment of the dues and all. But if there is no contribution paid by the employer for the employees contribute, now if it's not remitting regularly for the employees contribution, we immediately file FIR also. This is a cognizable offense. Okay, what I'm trying to tell you know here is, it is a cognizable offense. EPF Act clearly mentions this as a cognizable offense. So this is duty of the employer towards the payment. Then towards the claim form, he has to identify the employee. He has to give his, identify the employee that he is my employee and all, and he has to give attestation. It is duty of the employer to submit, to attest the form of the employee. It is duty of the employer to submit, to generate UN number, that is filling up form 5. It is duty of the employer to mention date of exit of the employee, that is form 10. Okay, it is duty of the employer to fill up all the mandatory forms. Okay, if they do not do so, they are liable to be prosecuted by the department. So please understand and help out your employees. They have left your services, kindly put their date of exits, kindly do their KYC. It is your duty to approve their KYC. Okay, and I would urge the employees, if your employers are not responding to you, kindly mark a copy to us, kindly submit a formal complaint, attach all the relevant conversations, all the documents of the conversation with the employer, and we'll be in a position to take concrete actions against the employer. Okay, so you can file that complaint at ro.pune@epfindia.gov.in, or you can submit the complaint to this office, or you can submit it through EPF IGMS also. EPF IGMS is our grievance portal. Okay, then moving further, next thing is 7A inquiry. What is 7A inquiry? See, 7A inquiry is nothing but an inquiry for assessment of dues. EPF officers are interested, or they have been given this authority to assess the dues, and these dues can be assessed in case of evasion by the employer, in case of non-enrollment by the employer, and in case of default by the employer. Okay, so these three are different things. What is default? Default is deducting, is not remitting, or he is not remitting his own share. Okay, or he has not enrolled a number of, he is not enrolled a set of employees. They can file a complaint. We are working with so and so employer and he has not enrolled us. In all such cases, 7A inquiry can be initiated. Okay, so this 7A inquiry is kind of no quasi judicial inquiry, where authority gets certain rights of a civil court, and then prosecution or the summoning of the witness. Okay, summoning of the documents, then attachments of the movable and immovable properties of the employers. Okay, issuing warrants against the employers. A number of authorities are given just to ensure that the inquiry is taken seriously by the employers, and employers submit their record and help with the assessing authority. So this is about 7A. Then somebody asked a question, okay, 7A inquiry is conducted, authority has assessed the dues, but I am not able to trace the employee. So how am I supposed to deposit? See, employees' records are available with you. So you have to just calculate the amount for those employees. Okay, and you can deposit that amount with the EPFO, as EPFO is the custodian. After the Aadhaar era, okay, you can give this excuse that I'm not able to trace, and without Aadhaar I'm not able to link. Okay, before Aadhaar this excuse was not there. You were just supposed to add their name in the ECRs for those months. You can submit backdated ECRs also. You could submit backdated ECR also, and you can do it. Now also you can do this thing for the period prior to July 2017. Okay, you can still file ECR without Aadhaar for July 2017, but you cannot do so for the further period. In that case, you can deposit that amount with EPFO through DD or other manner, because EPFO is the custodian, and you are supposed to make payment of every eligible employee. It is your duty. You should not wait for EPFO officers to come to check and to tell you.
who is eligible and who is not eligible. It is duty of the employer. So ultimately, and there is no time limitation till date. So anybody can come and claim for any period. So please understand, be careful about your own duties. Then I'll move further. Uh, I'll move further to duty of the principal employer or liability of the principal employer. Principal employer is the employer, like, who is employing a set of employees through a contractor. That contract may be contract for services or contract of of services, contract for services or contract of services. It may be any contract. As far as Provident Fund Act is concerned, principal employer's liability or principal employer's duty is clearly written. Section 30 subsection 3 of the scheme clearly mentions it is liability of the principal employer to deduct the money from the contractor and pay it towards EPFO. But many of the principal employers do not want to generate UN numbers for their contractual employees. Provision is available. You can generate UN number for your contractual employees also, but you guys don't want to do it. Then kindly do monitoring part at least properly. Okay. If you don't do that, ultimate liability will be on your shoulders. You are not free of liability. Okay. Please understand, you have supposed to check the challans, detailed challans. No, ECR statement, call for the ECR statement and check whether all the names of the contractual employees are available in the statement and the amount is properly accounted against their name. You may be paying Provident Fund on 15,000 per member, but the contractor may be paying Provident Fund only on basic, say 7,000 per member. So please understand, it is not only the names, whether the names are present or not. You have to check whether the particular amount is deposited, a correct amount is deposited with Provident Fund authorities or not. That is available in the ECR statement. The TRRN number available on the ECR statement will be same on the challan also, and it will be same what is available in public domain on our website also. So you can verify. Okay, there is possibility. People are very smart. They may give you some other statement and they may give you some other challan. So be careful. Verify the TRRN numbers also. So then principal employer's liability, I've told you, principal employer is liable for the default of the contractors also. So they have to properly do it. Then I'll go to this individual questions. Before that, I will take EPF versus PPF. Which one is better? See, PPF is Public Provident Fund. If you consider flexibility of deposits, PPF is more flexible because minimum 500 rupees you have to contribute per year, and you can, whenever you get money in, extra money, or when you get some bonus, when you are doing some extra activity and getting some amount, you can put in there. Some employees get once in a year some medical allowance or something. Once in a year they get bonus. Once in a year they get incentive or something. Then they can contribute to PPF because it is flexible. Minimum 12, maximum 12 times in a year you can contribute. Same is not with EPF. Okay, EPFO asks you to deposit a particular amount every month. It is a statutory fund. So deposits wise, it is EPFO is more, PPF is more flexible than EPF. But withdrawals wise, EPF is more flexible than PPF because advances column is now more handy. It is more easier. You can claim through Umang application anytime. Okay, you are admitted in the hospital and you want immediate amount, you can by sleeping on that bed, you just complete the process through Umang application. Automatically the money will be deposited in your bank account before you get discharged from the hospital. Okay, yeah, one of the subscribers has given us this feedback that he has effectively got this money before the discharge, and it was a positive feedback for us. Yeah. Then next thing is interest rate. EPF interest rate is much better than PPF interest rate. Ours is 8.65, theirs is 7.1. So you can compare. Then I would suggest, if you are thinking of PPF, there is option of VPF. In your EPF account, you can start voluntary provident fund. Just give one application to your employer and your employer will start debiting additional amount from your salary, and he will start contributing to your EPF account. Okay, it can be anything. It can be 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 per month, 1,000 per month, or 10% of basic, additional 10% of basic, 20%, anything. Just your employer will tell you that, just to ensure that there is no mistake in that Excel sheet or in the filing ECR, they are doing it uniformly 3000, uniformly 4000, then you can not vary it. Then that is between you and your employer. But EPF Act allows you to contribute as VPF. Again, VPF up to 1.5 lakhs is tax free. Okay. Then, yeah, there is a question many of you have asked. Recent Supreme Court judgment and allowances. See, Supreme Court judgment is very clear. It was announced on 28th of February 2019. Allowances are nothing but different nomenclatures you guys have given. Okay, so allowance can be anything. There is a ratio given in the judgment. Okay, and if you look at the judgment with this thing, that provident fund account is ultimately for the benefit of the employee. A single logic, it is for the benefit of the employee. Provident Fund Act is an legislation which is for the benefit of the employee. Supreme Court has looked at the Provident Fund legislation through this lens. So if somebody is earning less than, basic is less than 15,000 and you are giving a number of other allowances, okay, then contribute up to 15,000. If basic is 18,000 and then there are a number of allowances, the judgment has no impact on your salary structure because your basic is already more than 18,000 and Provident Fund Act makes it mandatory only to contribute up to 15,000. Okay, there is no date of application because this judgment is against, the judgment is given in the case where EPF authority has already given a 7A order. Some the opposing part, the establishment was not happy with the order. They went to the court, then High Court, then the tribunal, then High Court, then Supreme Court. So Supreme Court has upheld the order passed by 7A authority in 2005. Okay, and they have given citation in the judgment for a judgment which was passed in Bridge and Roof case in 1962. So clearly speaking, there is no starting date or anything. Okay, this judgment is already published on our website. The judgment is already available everywhere. So start implementing it immediately before it's too late. Okay. So anybody who is earning less than 15,000, all the allowances will be considered as basic for the calculation of, for the purpose of calculation of Provident Fund. Okay. If this is already beyond 15,000, then no need to contribute on beyond 15,000. Marathwada Mitra Mandal's judgment is there. No need to contribute on more than 15,000. It is very clear. Okay. So this was about the judgment. Then yeah. Now Shankar sir, last 10 minutes are there. I'll just go through this Q&A thing, and
yes.
Meanwhile, you can allow them to raise hand and ask questions.
Yeah. Friends, whatever questions are parked in QA box, we will answer that. And if anybody would like to ask questions, please raise the hand. We will allow you to speak. Praveen is there, Ankit is there. So, sir, we will first answer all those questions which are there in the QA box.
Yeah. Okay, so one by one, I'll read and answer.
Shall I? You will be reading those questions, and
I'll read it shortly because everyone can see it. No.
Yeah.
Question answers box everyone can see.
No, only panelists actually. You can read.
Okay, only panelists can see. Okay, ठीक है. Praveen Mambre has asked something. One of our ex-employees has left the service. He claims his PF and EPS amount due to wrong date of joining and wrong date of leaving. His claim has been rejected and said that please submit form 5 and 10, but due to lockdown he is unable to submit. Please, how can we submit the said claim form? He has to submit it online. Employer can submit it online. Okay. Or you can submit a joint declaration, form 5, form 10 through a joint declaration. You can submit it. Kindly wait for the lockdown to over. You can submit hard copy also. But right now we are accepting only online claim forms. So ask your employee to hold for some more days. Okay. Why is date of joining is wrong? Because only HR is submitting date of joining. No, and you guys are only feeding date of exit. So be careful while submitting this data. Okay. Because corrections are difficult. You can correct it online. If his login is available online, no, you can also send a request to change basic details. You can send this request. through his login. Okay. For the month of July, okay. The question asked is, can we make arrear payment at the rate of 10% for the month of August also, in the month of August? Yes, you can do. Just be careful that you make a arrear ECR. There is a separate tab for arrear ECR. If you make an arrear ECR, it will be considered as arrear payment, and it will be considered in the month you are paying it. So there is no question of leaving 14B and 7Q on it. Just be careful that you are submitting an arrear challan. Don't submit a normal challan. Okay. There is a tab available for arrear challan. Please clarify provident fund applicability on allowances. I have clarified this. We are hiring candidates now. They are working from home, but we are facing issue. Just a minute. We are facing issue with regard to getting original signatures on PF nomination from them. If such employee puts scan signature and not physical signature, yes, it is okay. It is okay now. No need to worry. Anyway, you are going to scan and upload it. Anyway, you are going to scan and upload it. No. So ask him to scan and send it to you. The same copy you can upload. No need to worry. Okay. In the last 3 months, the pension amount is not reflecting in the passbook. Also, the message received from system reflecting same amount in the PF account. Pension amount will not reflect if your transfer is there. Okay. If it is a transfer thing, and yeah, yes, it is not reflecting. We have already raised this issue, and there is annual accounting pending for this financial year, because you guys are very well aware that interest rates are not yet notified. So for this financial year, the pension amount may not reflect. Okay. But yes, we have raised this query with the NDC. We have already received emails and from the employees, and we have forwarded to our national data center, and they will be rectifying it. No need to worry. Which type of digital signature is valid for nomination records given by an employee? I think it is type 2 digital signature. Okay. Respected sir, how can we process PF transfer from trust to EPFO? I think I have told this. Okay. In the today's scenario also, you have to do it offline only. There is no other way available. Okay. Online is available. You can submit it through email. Okay. And if your employer is not accepting, okay, just let us know and we will communicate with the employer if it is in our jurisdiction. If it is under jurisdiction of Provident Fund Office Pune, we will communicate with them. Okay, we have asked them and everybody has assured that they are accepting the claim forms through email. Okay, how many times bank account details can be changed or allowed? You can change them a number of times, no need to worry. The latest one will be considered. Link for inoperative account is no more available on portal. How to resolve any old accounts with non-UN number before 2010? Just submit their PF details. Just submit their transfer request and all. No, it is purposely removed. Okay, we have purposely not kept those inoperative account details on for available for the employers. No, it is not available for you. It is available for the members. Okay, you ask them to submit it to the PF office and we will give it. We will deal with them. No need to worry. Some employees of our organization have been transferred from PF so-and-so to so-and-so effective on 1st April. The transfer of PF account was done automatically. However, the transfer has been done without wage month for April 19 contribution. Employees don't have online option at UN that saying account already settled. Please suggest. However, the transfer has been done without the wages for the month of April 19 contributions. Okay, we'll have to see this case in individual this thing. Kindly send me email. Mr. Rajesh for Steria and Sopra banking software. Please let me check one case. What you are saying, let me check. Okay, then if they are transferred before payment of April salary, you guys have initiated transfer before the payment. No, you should have waited. Now you will have to, okay, let us see what can be done. Okay. Just ping me individually. We'll look into it. Retired army personnel are employed in corporate. They are already earning pension. However, there is reduction or pension by EPFO. Is it required, sir? It is required. See, retire. It may be army personnel or any. There is a judgment. There is a judgment I don't remember this thing, but it was passed by Supreme Court on 26th of March 2019. Okay, some motors something. So that judgment is very clear. The retired railway employees started the business and retired railway employees were employed and they were not given PF benefits. They were made PF members. You cannot divide up them. Para 2F2 of employees provident fund scheme is only applicable to the members of this fund. It is not applicable to the entire population of the country. It is applicable to the members of this fund only. It means that those who were already employed by EPF, already members of this scheme, they may not be members of the pension fund after 58, but they can be members of the provident fund. So this railway employees and this army employees, no, they can be definitely members of the provident fund. You have to contribute entire 12 and 12%, 24% in their provident fund account. You should contribute zero amount in their EPF account. Okay, account 10 will be zero, account 1 will be entire amount. How to find out UN before 2014? There is no UN for account before 2014. Employees will have to generate it. They will have to generate UN for those account. Or you can, if they are having new UN now, they can link their old PF numbers to the new UN. Any employee can generate UN. It is available on our website. My request to all these participants, 103 participants are available. Kindly go through our website on a particular Sunday or Saturday when you are free. At least spend 1 hour on our website. N number of things are easily available. Kindly spend some time in your login. Okay. And study. It is important thing. Your provident fund is very important thing for you. Please study it. Can nominee apply for final withdrawal of EDLI and pension through online application? Right now it is not available, but shortly we'll introduce it. Right now it is not available. You have to apply through your employer only. Okay. Dear sir, is it mandatory for employers to submit form 5 and 10 even now? Yes, it is. Your form 5 and form 10 is nothing but your data generation of UN and submission of date of exit. Okay. Date of exit is nothing but form 5, form 10. Please understand, it is mandatory. My question is related to widow pension. Currently, first child is 26, second child 24, third child 23. But mentally okay, since birth, then shall the third child? Yes, he is eligible. Third child is eligible. Okay, disabled children pension. This is completely separate pension. He is eligible. The question is whether third child who is mentally, he has mental issues, disability certificate has to be there, particular percentages has to be there, more than 40, I guess, I'm not sure about it, but more than 40% disability, yes, he will get the pension for further 2 years. And this is not only for further 2 years. If he was of 21 years at the time of death, then he will get arrears for the last 2 years. Today is 23. At the time of death, he was 21. Then he will get a lump sum amount for 2 years. Okay, pension will start from the effectively from the years 21 of the child. Please understand. Okay, so it is not as per the date of application. It is as per the date of death. You may be delayed in. You may be late in filing the claim. Okay, but that delay is not taking away your benefits. How much is the interest on VP? Same interest. Whatever interest is given on the EPF, same interest. Right now it is 8.65. Can we have to submit form 4A to PF department for VP? No need now. Okay, you have to just give it to your employer and your employer will start doing it. Sir, what is the clarity on 7A pending cases? When will be the hearing resume? Shortly, Darshan, shortly they'll resume. Yeah, what is the maximum amount of pension? There is no maximum amount of pension available. Okay, the wage ceiling is 15,000, but yes, there are a number of, you may be aware that higher wages allowed by Supreme Court in many cases, and we have also allowed many of the employers, we have allowed higher contribution on higher wages. So EPFO is paying a pension to the tune of 60,000, 50,000, 35,000, okay, per month to an employee. Yes, we are paying 35,000 also to employees. So it depends how much they have contributed and whether they were allowed to contribute on higher wages and whether their establishment has taken due permissions and they have declared under para 26 and all. A number of things were there. So those who have taken permissions long back in 2001, 1995 and all, they are still getting the higher pension. My employer contribution not submitted 8-month PF. What can I, my employer contribution not submitted? Immediately submit a written complaint, attach all your salary sheets. Okay, and do not backtrack. Do not say that all these things are there. And once you submit email, we will take sumo to action, and we'll immediately start taking action against the employer. Okay, if they have deducted from your salary and not remitted to Provident Fund Office, we will immediately register a FIR against them. Can anyone take COVID loan now? Yes, COVID is there, no? Right? Yesterday, it was the second highest. Day before yesterday was the highest, 69,000 in the country. Pandemic still there. You can claim. And we are receiving a number of claims. We are settling. Pune was the highest city, highest counting city in the any city in the country yesterday, in the entire history of the pandemic. So definitely you can claim.
So even
But
in the
don't claim
beginning,
for
even in the beginning also, we said that Pune regional office paid almost 200 CR, 200 CR
yes,
advances
yes,
paid,
yes.
COVID
Almost
advance.
200 CR we have paid towards COVID
62,000
advance.
plus claims are got settled under this.
Yes, definitely. Yes, correct. Do employer need to remit the differential amount of contribution of employees and employer before Feb 19, where PF was less than PF wages less than 15,000? As per me, yes. Yeah. How to update the new mobile number online? There is a option available. You have to go to the forget password thing. Automatically the link will come. If your details tally properly, you have to submit your details, basic details. If they tally with our system, will allow you to update the mobile number. If you are carrying your old mobile number which was registered with us, then simply log in. Okay, just do no, log in your account and go to change basic details. In the change basic details, you will get change mobile number option. From there, based on OTP, you can easily do it. But if you are not carrying your old mobile number also, and that number is lost, you are not supposed to get any OTP, and you have forgotten your password, then you can change it with this procedure: forget password. Then you will get the link. Then you submit your basic details. If they are exactly tallying Shweta Thikekar, if the Shweta Thikekar name is exactly tallying with our records, your date of birth is exactly tallying, will allow you to update your mobile number. It would be great if employer is given with authority to update mobile number, name change, etc. I am employer. I will change my brother's name to all their accounts. And entire amount, no, all in the employees, I'll settle in my brothers. I will put my HR's name over there. My I have registered an FIR where 41 cases, 41 accounts were tried to be shifted to HR's brother's account. So don't raise requests for these things. We know what we are, how much control we have to give, and this will not be given, guys. Sir, if company want to implement Supreme Court judgment, suppose starting this month, is there a liability to the company effective Supreme Court order date? See, there are a number of interpretations. Okay, I've already clarified. Supreme Court's order dated 28th of February 2019 clearly mentions a judgment which belongs to year 1962. And that case is against a 7A order which was passed in 2005. So the employer against whom this judgment has come, he has to implement from 2005 or prior to that, because the order is of 2005 and the calculations must be for the period which is prior to that. And for others it is, so I don't find any logic in it. International worker, it is applicable to upload EDLI amount at the time of challan. Is it applicable to upload EDLI amount? Yes. Yes. If employee completed 7 year 9 months, yes, he is eligible for the pension. 7 year 9 months we are giving pension. 9 years 7 months we are giving, sorry, 9 years 7 months we are giving pension, no issue. We have filled e-nomination, but still it is not reflecting in the EPF records. It may not be reconciled. Your passbook will not show it immediately. It is a monthly cycle. It will show shortly. Passbook not updated from April. Yes, we have raised this issue. Passbook issues we have raised. Currently, we are sending nil international worker returns by email. Is it okay? How is it taken care? Because we do not get acknowledgement on email. Yes, it is taken care. We are taking record. We have to submit monthly report regarding this nil returns and IW returns and all. Don't worry. It is being taken care. How to do employees EPF settlement if the employees absconded? If the employee is absconded, in whose name you want to settle? And why you want to settle? It is his money, no? He will come and ask for the settlement, then only it is to be given. If any employee left, but employer can't contribute his contribution due to funds issue, then can employer mark exit date of that employee before making payment of that contribution? Please guide. No, you are not supposed to mark. How can you exit him before contributing completely? Contribute his amount first. Financial issues hai to just let us know. We will take care. We'll start taking some action or what. If you are you have taken, debited from his salary, we'll have to take some action. No, immediately contribute. My request to you guys is immediately. One announcement I forgot to make, guys. There was announcement by this office that you may take time for contribution, for making the contribution, as there is a lockdown, and EPF department during the period of lockdown will not levy damages. It is only about damages, not at all about interest. First, let me clarify this. It is only about damages. Interest is a cost to EPFO, so that letter written to all the offices is not at all about the interest. Second thing, that is only for the period of lockdown. Okay, it is not eternal. It is only for the period of lockdown. Okay, so what is the definition of lockdown? It will be debited later. So please understand, please take care. There is no issues, funds and all. Kindly remit on immediate basis. Do employer need to remit differential amount, both contribution? I'll not answer this question. It's already, I've already clarified this. If is PF compulsory for full-time consultants? Same with foreign. See, definition of employee is the issue over here. Who is an employee? Okay, assessing authority, consultant is just a term. What is consultant? It's just a term. Okay, tomorrow, based on the n number of things, attendance, pay structure, is contract and all, he may be termed as employee. And for all the employees, if you are having more than 20 employees, PF is mandatory. So it may be mandatory. So please understand what terminology we use, what you use. Okay. Some employee joined after 1 September 14, basic salary more than 15. That time we have not uploaded his pension amount. See, this thing is, Mr. Sagar Nimmat, this thing is, Kerala High Court has given a judgment against it. Okay, one SLP was dismissed by the Supreme Court. Another SLP is still pending. This issue is still under it's still with the court. So let us wait for some more time. Okay, whatever you have done as per the Gazette notification is correct, but that Gazette notification itself is set aside by the High Court of Kerala. So just wait for some more months. Once the court starts resuming and once this issue is clarified, we'll be able to comment on it. Can employer contribution be deducted for employees whose salary is more than 2 lakhs? Yeah, can be deducted from employer's contribution, can't be deducted from any employee. How can you deduct? His salary may be 10 lakh. No, statute does not allow you. You have to pay it. Okay, CTC is a different thing. When you are in contract with him, informing him and in due contract that this will be the cost to the company, that is a different scenario itself. But you cannot deduct. His salary may be more than 15,000, more than 2 lakh, more than 10 lakhs. You are not supposed to deduct employer's contribution from employee. It will be a default. It will be considered as whatever contribution you made was entirely for the employee, because it is deducted. The same 24% will be asked again from you to remit again. For COVID loan, is it necessary that any member is impacted? No, 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 it is not at all necessary. We have settled 70,000 cases almost from this in this office. No, no, not at all. It is not at all necessary. Anybody can claim. Okay. Anybody who is having impact of the pandemic can claim this advance. I have changed my Aadhaar card, my name on Aadhaar card. I have started using my husband's name. How can I update KYC in PF? Can I do it online? You can do it online, but as it is a major change, you will have to upload the document over there. Your marriage certificate would be required along with the Aadhaar card. You can do it online. Sometimes there are employees joining at senior levels who do not want to be EPF member. Can this be done? If their salary is more than 15,000, they can be considered as excluded employees. Okay. But if they were already PF members and their age is less than 55 years, then as per para 2F2, they cannot be considered as excluded. You will have to make them members and keep on contributing at least up to 15,000 per month. Okay, they don't have any choice. It is mandatory. If they were previously PF members, if they are entirely fresh and they were never PF members, then and their salary is more than 15,000, then you can take shelter of para 2F2 and considered as employees. Okay, please understand. They is going on where a level employee was earning much than this thing, and he was previous member. After resigning from this post, he raised a complaint with this office that he was not made member by no, though he was having a previous PF membership, though his salary was more than 15,000. Okay, he could not be considered as excluded under para 2F2. The employer had to contribute both the shares after his resignation was entire final settlement was made. So be careful while understanding this para 2F2. Any chances of extension of PMGKY scheme and PF rate from August will be 12%. I have no idea regarding this thing. As of now, I have no idea. If UN is not generated of particular employee due to Aadhaar issue, can we submit the DD in such case? No, if his current employee with you, generate his Aadhaar card. What on the earth is stopping? Generate his UN number. No, what on the earth is stopping you from getting his Aadhaar corrected? You will be penalized for that. We will not accept DD in such case. Nobody is going to, there is no provision for it. It can't be accepted. And you will have to pay 14B7Q also on that. One of employees working, contribution is going on, but by mistake put date of exit. How to correct it? Immediately send joint declaration to Provident Fund office. We will correct it from the back end. You can submit such joint declaration through email, and you may contact the concerned area EO for that particular establishment's area. Okay, you intimate them, or you can send an email to us. Sir, on 7th August, it is submitted DSC renewal application. This is not for individual queries, guys. Okay, and this must be done. Your DSC renewal application must not be properly signed, or it must not be sent on email to us. Scan it and send it through email, so that immediately the person looking at the emails. One more announcement I would like to made because of this question. Digital signatures, because of the pandemic issue, you can upload the digital signature, generate a request letter, take a printout, sign on it. 3 specimen signatures are required. The person who is signing, his name has to be there in the form 5A. He has to send that, take a printout on an official letterhead, proper official letterhead mentioning name of the establishment, address of the establishment, contact details of the establishment, and that letterhead only he has to sign, and he has to send it to us through their registered email ID. Okay, and through registered email ID we will accept it, scan it and send it to us. One particular consultant has sent me 12 digital signatures, one digital signature with his own name, the same digital signature he has given for 12 different establishments. I'm going to prosecute all the establishments for submitting wrong declarations. Okay, kindly read the digital signature rules and kindly read your form 5A. Okay, there is a scope for fraud in this case. We won't allow this thing. We have rejected all those 12 cases. So your digital signature must be submitted by the must be submitted in the name of the authorized signatory, who must be employee of your establishment, who must be authorized signatory, and who must be at least who may be at least one of the form 5A signatories. Okay, then only we'll accept it. And you can send that through email. And subject of that mail shall be authorized signatory, digital signature. It must contain some, the topic of the subject must contain these letters, these words, because automatic filter is applied over there, and these words it will filter, and the person who is approving this thing is regularly checking that email. Okay. Okay, one more query I'll take. We are already too late. This query is written too long. I'll skip it. Manohar has already asked many queries. What is the maximum amount of COVID loan one can claim, and can employers also take it? How can employers take it? If the employers are having their individual PF account numbers, then they are PF members, then they can take it. Okay. And COVID loan amount claim is 75% of whatever is available in your Provident Fund account, or 3 months PF wages. Whatever is lower will be paid as COVID advance. Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot for giving a huge response. I'll ask Shankar sir to conclude this. Okay, it is not ending. I have further commitments at 4:30. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Almost we have answered more than 100 questions, because we have received few questions well in advance, which we have already answered. And today we have answered 74 questions, which asked by the audience.
Okay.
So basically, there is, I think there are two people who have raised their hands. I don't know
Okay.
whether. But before that, I would like to ask you one question. Like, as you rightly said, that the people who are not identified, untraceable employees who left the organization, but there is a difference of amount which needs to be paid, and the UN is number not there. So that was the query which is there. So how we should settle it out? Because you said DD, or what are those mechanisms which we can follow for that?
See, during the 7A inquiry, maximum efforts are being taken to identify. Okay, identification is done. Names are available. Okay, but those employees are no more with your establishments, and you
Yes.
have defaulted previously, or by mistake you could not remit for those employees.
Yes.
So right now the option available with you guys is, whenever the 7A order comes, okay, and all those employees for whom you are not able to generate UAN number, you can simply make a DD out of it and submit it to the Provident Fund office, along with the entire list of those employees, correctly mentioning their father's name and other whatever personal details available, their date of joining, and other details whatever available in your record, maybe PAN number, or maybe another number, maybe account numbers, because it is mandatory to pay the salary in bank accounts. So you must be having their bank accounts, their mobile numbers you may have. So it will be easier for the department in future to locate them and adjust that amount in their name in future.
But
Then
suppose they
and
are.
you are supposed to, let me complete. And suppose you are also taking the follow-up, and you have the list of say those 10 guys, and through your employees network you have traced them, and anyways they were your employees, and ultimately you want the benefit to reach it out to them, and you don't want the EPFO to unjustly reach and just keep that money with EPFO itself. You have traced them, you have traced all of them. Then you can generate an ECR. Okay, submit that ECR in soft copy to EPFO. EPFO has an option, EPFO has a module wherein we can use that ECR, and this DD amount, we will reconcile them, and that money will get automatically credited to those members account. Okay, so it can be done subsequently also. The only benefit in this case will be the date of payment will be considered as the date on which you have submitted the demand draft, so that you will not be required to pay interest and damages for the date on which you make the ECR, on which you prepare the ECR. Okay, because 14B and 7Q are levied on the date of remittance, not on the date of filing return. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So we'll just take 3 more questions. So please raise the hands. So we will allow the people to talk. Please raise your hand. So
Yeah.
I think Anik,
Yeah,
Ankit
we
is
have
there.
5 more minutes, max 5
Yeah,
more
yeah, yeah.
minutes.
Ankit, you are allowed to talk. Please unmute yourself. Ankit.
Thank you. Thanks, sir. Sir, my
Yeah.
question is related to VPF contribution, which organization is making voluntarily, like over and above 15K salary wages. So I have also shared the detailed content on the same. So just wanted to understand that I am making any employee contribution on basis of 15K wages, 1800 monthly basis, and employee want to contribute over and above the PF contribution. Like if we want to contribute like 20, 50K monthly wages, employee is very senior and having basic salary of more than 1 lakh amount. Okay, in this scenario, like if we want to make the contribution in VPF, is there any challenges in future while withdrawing the amount, or will employee will be get the interest over and above 15K?
As far as EPFO is concerned, no. As far as income tax is concerned, there are n number of judgments available. Okay, then you can search them, you can read them. Uh, and income tax, when you are contributing, okay, your EPF, your VPF, your other contributions, they are already taken care only in 80C. Okay, 80C, section 80C, which is 1.5 lakhs max you can contribute. Okay, but if you are showing this as employer's contribution and no start, if you are taking benefit, then this is not allowed actually. Okay, VPF is tax free, its interest is tax free. It is VPF contribution is tax free when it is under section 80C, so maximum only up to 1.5 lakhs. Any amount which you are contributing over and above 1.5 lakh, you are already taxed. Okay.
Sir, my question is it allowed to contribute more than 15K? Because I can see in FAQ of EPF, it is mentioned that maximum 15K is allowed, and over and
It is
above 15K, you need permission.
Yes, it is not about permission. You have to just give an intimation to EPFO. There are a number of employers who are contributing on higher wages. That provision is basically about pension. Okay. So as far as PF is concerned, it is allowed. No need to worry.
Okay. Okay. Thanks a
Okay.
lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
हॅलो सर
Yes.
हॅलो
Yeah. I'm listening.
मला एक क्वेरी आहे. मी 1.5 वर्ष झाला आधी कंपनी सोडली. त्या कंपनीचा जो एस्टॅब्लिशमेंट आयडीचा फंड आहे माझा पीएफचा, तो मी नवीन कंपनी जी आता जी दुसरी सोडली तिच्यात ट्रान्सफर करू शकते का विथड्रॉ करू शकते? तुम्ही म्हटलं की ट्रान्सफर करणं बेटर आहे.
विथड्रॉ करूच शकत नाही मॅडम. Legally speaking, para 69(2) does not allow you to withdraw if you do not complete 55 years of your age. ओके,
मग मी ट्रान्सफर करणं बेटर पडेल.
ट्रान्सफरच करणं योग्य आहे. म्हणजे मॅथमॅटिकली बेनिफिशियली, म्हणजे मॅथमॅटिकली सिंपल कॅल्क्युलेशन तुम्हाला सांगतोय, पेन्शन मध्ये बेनिफिट होणार आहे.
राईट.
One more point I want to clear here. 82 participants are still there.
Yes.
If you withdraw prematurely, suppose you have 6 years of service and if you withdraw pension amount, your employer contributed 8.33% in EPS pension amount. In these 6 years, total contribution made by the employer, say around 1 lakh rupees in the pension account. Okay, say 1 lakh rupees. I'm not talking about compounded interest. I'm just taking month by month. Total calculation is say 1 lakh. Okay, forget about the interest. When you submit form 80, form 10C for 6 years of service withdrawal, you ultimately you are selling the service. Okay, as per our chart, you may be getting around 90,000 or 85,000 only. So you don't get even what you've contributed. Forget about the interest. Forget about the compounded interest.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So you should always transfer and you should seek pension because it is the most beneficial thing available today. Yeah.
Thank you. Deepak Botre, you go on. We will take last 4 questions only, and keep your questions very short because we have less time. Deepak.
सर माझा क्वेश्चन असा आहे की काही कंपन्या काय करतात, विदाउट क्लिअरन्स जर एम्प्लॉई जर सोडून गेला तर त्याची लेफ्ट डेट टाकत नाही पीएफ मध्ये, तर विदाउट अगर त्याची एक्झिट डेट टाकली नाही तर तो का ट्रान्सफर रिक्वेस्ट करू शकत नाही, तर त्यासाठी काय करू शकतो आपण?
त्याने एक कंप्लेंट ईपीएफओ ऑफिस कडे टाकावी. व्यवस्थितपणे लिहून की आय हॅव रिक्वेस्टेड द एम्प्लॉयर ऑन सेव्हरल ऑकेजन्स, इज नॉट सबमिटिंग, इज नॉट अपडेटिंग माय डेट ऑफ एक्झिट. ओके, एम्प्लॉयरशी कम्युनिकेट केल्याचे सगळे एव्हिडन्सेस लावावेत. इतक्यादा मेल केला, हे मेलचे स्क्रीनशॉट आहेत किंवा हे कॉपीज आहेत, हे मी पुढच्या मेलला तुम्हाला सीसी ठेवलं होतं, EPFO ला पण मी मेल केलाय, हे करून एका मेलला ro.puneला सीसी मध्ये ठेवून एम्प्लॉयरला कम्युनिकेट करा की इट इज युअर ड्युटी टू सबमिट डेट ऑफ एक्झिट, काइंडली डू इट. ओके, त्यांनी नाही केलं तर मग मी एक रिक्वेस्ट करीन, माझंही नाही ऐकलं तर आय विल प्रोसिक्यूट हिम. ओके, आणि तेही नाही केलं तर मग देर इज ज्यावेळी प्रोसिक्युशनची प्रोसेस सुरू असेल त्यावेळी मी एक स्पेशल परमिशन देऊन फिजिकली अप्रूव्ह करून आय विल अलाउ टू ट्रान्सफर दॅट क्लेम फॉर्म फिजिकली, नो नीड टू वरी. ठीक आहे.
थँक्यू सर.
आणि ह्या केस मध्ये सुद्धा इन दिस केस ऑल्सो, once this lockdown and all things are over, when we start accepting physical claim for forms for transfer claim, you can anytime submit physical claim for transfer claim without date of exit by taking attestation from current employer. त्याचा काय रोल राहतोय मग? जुन्या एम्प्लॉयरचा रोल राहतच नाही काही.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Rupali, you can unmute yourself. Yes, Rupali.
सर, आता एक लेटेस्टली एक असा प्रॉब्लेम आला की आमचा एक एम्प्लॉई सोडून गेला, त्याचे सगळे डिटेल्स व्यवस्थित आपण फिल केले होते, पण जेव्हा पण कधी आपण पोर्टलवर जातो आणि हे सगळे डॉक्युमेंट्स अपलोड करायला बघतो त्यावेळेस पोर्टलमध्ये आपल्याला एरर मिळते, जेणेकरून आपल्याला त्या एम्प्लॉईला काही सपोर्टच करता येत नाही.
त्या एररचा स्क्रीनशॉट काढून कम्युनिकेट करा ना डिपार्टमेंटशी की अशी अशी एरर येते, मग ते रिझन तुम्हाला कळेल. आमच्याकडे एक EDP सेल आहे, IT सेल आहे, तिकडे एक एम्प्लॉयर फीडबॅक @ epfindia.gov. म्हणून एक सेंट्रलाइज NDC ची हेल्पलाईन आहे. सो यू कॅन रेज युअर थिंग्स अँड यू कॅन गेट सपोर्ट फ्रॉम अस.
राईट सर, आय विल डू.
Thank you, Rupali. Praveen, you can unmute yourself, please. Praveen.
येस सर.
क्या
सर, आम्ही गेली 4 महिने झाले PF भरलाय, पण अजून मेंबरच्या अकाउंटला अजून तो रिफ्लेक्ट झालेला नाहीये.
हा इश्यू थोडासा सुरू आहे सध्या. NDC इज वर्किंग ऑन डिफरंट प्रायोरिटीज आणि हे जे आहे इट इज अ ट्राय पार्टी सिस्टम. यू पे, देन इट गोज टू युअर बँक इज डेबिटेड, देन इट गोज टू आर बँक.
ओके,
देयर इज सेंट्रलाइज सर्व्हर आणि तिथून ते येऊन मग रिकन्सिलिएशन होऊन ते रिफ्लेक्ट होतं. तुमचं पेमेंट तुम्हाला तुमच्या पोर्टलला दिसेल, नो नीड टू वरी अबाउट इट. एम्प्लॉईला त्यांच्या पासबुकला दिसत नाहीयेत कारण अजून रिकन्सिलिएशन पेंडिंग आहेत काही ठिकाणी.
ओके सर.
ठीक आहे.
ओके, साधारणतः किती वेळ लागेल सर?
रिकन्सिलिएशनचा जो पेस आहे तो फार स्लो झालाय सध्या आणि आम्ही सुद्धा हा इश्यू कंटिन्युअसली NDC सोबत रेज करत आहोत. त्यांच्याकडनं आम्हाला जे इन्फॉर्मल कम्युनिकेशन आहे ते अशाच प्रकारचे आहे की इट विल टेक सम मोर टाइम. नो नीड टू वरी. Okay, and if there is worry something, you can just write it up in a letter format, send it to us, we will mark a copy to you and we will send it to NDC. No need to worry. Okay.
Okay sir, thank you.
Highlight करू शकतात, करा तुम्ही highlight, काही problem नाहीये. Okay.
Okay sir, thank you.
Okay, last question, I don't know, he 1H91, you can unmute, I think unmute yourself. He has raised the hand, I think he is not available there.
H191 it means, huh?
Yeah, H191. Rupesh, you can ask your question. Unmute yourself. It is going to be last question. What we are going to take. Rupesh.
Yeah, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah. Rupesh, go on.
Yes, sir. Actually, एक प्रॉब्लेम येतो की जसं की आधार कार्ड ज्यावेळेस आपण UN जनरेट करतो, सो आधार कार्डचा जर प्रॉब्लेम आला, जसं की ते बायोमेट्रिक वगैरे इश्यू येतो, सो त्यावेळेस UN मग लेट क्रिएट होतो. मग अशा केसमध्ये काय करता येईल?
अशा केसमध्ये तो ज्या दिवशी अपॉइंट होतो ना त्याच दिवशी त्याच्याकडनं आधार घेऊन त्याच दिवशी UN जनरेट करा. म्हणजे तुमच्याकडे एक 20 किंवा 15 किंवा 10 30 काहीतरी दिवसाची विंडो राहील तो एरर क्लिअर करण्यासाठी. आयदर इज आधार इज हॅव्हिंग सम इश्यू, ओके, ऑर इज ओल्ड PF वॉज लिंक टू इट अँड असं काहीतरी इश्यू असणार आहे. तो इश्यू रिझॉल्व्ह करायला वेळ मिळेल आणि मग तुम्ही वेळेत पेमेंट करू शकाल. जर ते नाही झालं आणि तुम्ही मग रेमिटन्स करण्याच्या वेळी तुम्हाला आठवण आली तुम्ही तसं UN जनरेट करायला गेलात आणि तो त्यावेळी एरर आला आणि तुम्ही त्याच्या व्यतिरिक्त ECR फाईल केली तर ह्या मेंबरचं तुम्हाला नंतर एक फ्रेश ECR द्यावी लागेल ज्याच्यावरती 14B7Q लेव्ही होणार.
ओके,
ओके, थँक्यू.
डोंट होल्ड दॅट अमाउंट फॉर मोर नंबर ऑफ मंथ्स. ठीक आहे, जास्त वेळ तुमच्या जवळ ठेवायला आणि त्याने कंप्लेंट केली आणि आम्हाला कळल्यावरती आम्हाला विल हॅव टू टेक ऍक्शन IPC 406409.
ओके. Okay, thank you, sir. Prakash, you can go on. Prakash Wagh, please.
सर, माझा एक क्वेश्चन आहे तुम्हाला. हॅलो.
Yeah, please.
Yes,
please
yes,
go on.
Prakash, we can hear you.
सर आमची कंपनी जी आहे इनोव्हेटिव्ह इंडस्ट्रीची कंपनी लिक्विडेशन मध्ये गेली आहे. तर त्यामध्ये बऱ्याच लोकांनी कंपनीचे म्हणजे पीएफ विड्रॉ केले होते. तर त्यामध्ये काय आलं की कंपनीचे जे ड्यूज होते एम्प्लॉईचे ते कंपनीने पार्शली पेमेंट पे केलेलं आहे. पण त्यामध्ये असं झालंय की आता बरेच लोक ट्रान्सफर किंवा विड्रॉ करतात क्लेम. त्यामध्ये क्लेम ऑलरेडी सेटल म्हणून ते सेटल करतात एम्प्लॉयर
रिजेक्ट करतात. रिजेक्ट करतात.
रिजेक्ट करतात. तर त्यामध्ये असं विचारत होतं की त्यामध्ये आम्हाला काय केलं पाहिजे?
काही करायचं नाहीये. आता एक लेटर लिहा व्यवस्थितपणे. ओके, एम्प्लॉयरच्या अटेस्टेशनने, एम्प्लॉयरच्या सिग्नेचरने एक व्यवस्थित लेटर लिहा. मेन्शन दिस थिंग ओव्हर हिअर. तुम्हाला तुमचं अकाउंट सेक्शन माहिती असेल तर त्याचं पर्टिक्युलर सेक्शन लिहा. म्हणजे मग मी त्या एस ला बोलून माझ्या याच्याने सांगतो की बाबा काय तुम्हाला जर माहिती आहे.
आणि त्यामध्ये आता सर असं झालंय की डीएससी जी आहे ना ती आमची एक्सपायर झालेली आहे एम्प्लॉयरची.
नाही बघा, इश्यू काय आहे, लॉकडाऊनच्या पिरियड मध्ये इथे एका सेक्शनला एक वाली नाहीये. ठीक आहे, रोटेशनल बेसिसवर काम चाललंय. एक एम्प्लॉई आठवडाभराने ऑफिसला येतो. ठीक आहे, तोवर मध्ये क्लेम आला की त्याच्या जागेवर दुसरा बसलेला असतो. ही डज नॉट नो द बॅकग्राऊंड. ओके, सो यू जस्ट गिव्ह इट टू अस, वी विल फ्लॅग इट समहाउ अँड विल टेक केअर की ते होणार नाही. ओके, पण थोडंसं यू हॅव टू बेअर बिकॉज ऑफ दिस लॉकडाऊन सिच्युएशन. नो 15% मध्ये वी आर नॉट एबल टू डू दिस थिंग. आणि सिस्टीम मध्ये तसं फ्लॅगिंगची सिस्टीम नाही आहे. तर वी वुड हॅव फ्लॅग्ड की बिफोर रिजेक्शन दिस थिंग हॅज टू बी टेकन केअर. ओके, यू जस्ट गिव्ह अ लेटर आणि मी ते अकाउंट मध्ये ठेवेन आणि आय विल टेल देम ऍटलीस्ट सिनियर ऑफिसर्स, आय विल टेल देम अकाउंट्स ऑफिसर किंवा सेक्शन सुपरवायझर की बिफोर रिजेक्शन नो ट्वाइस दिस नीड्स टू बी टेकन केअर. तुमच्या पर्टिक्युलर कोड नंबरला मी फ्लॅग करून देईल. ओके,
चालेल सर. ओके, थँक्यू.
या.
Sir, we are going to take a last question. Sudhanshu from Tata Blue Scope. Sudhanshu, you can unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yes, Sudhanshu, we can hear you. Your question, please.
My question is very simple. I just need to understand on which date Atul sir is available at PF office. So I want to meet him to discuss one case.
I think I was expecting some questions, Sudhanshu.
I am
available on all weekdays from 9:30 to 6. But the problem is because of the lockdown thing, and we are not allowed to allow the people to visit because of the safety of the staff working over here. Right now, we are not allowing anyone. But after this thing is over, I am available here, sir, 9:30 to 6. No issues.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Sudhanshu. Sudhir, sir, with your due permission, I would like to introduce Sudhir Patil. Sudhir, you can on your video. And
very good afternoon.
Yeah. So the video on, kar Sudhir. Yes.
Hello.
Very good afternoon, sir.
Very good afternoon.
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.
Yeah. Shankar, thank you very much. And Atul Kotkarji, in this current only 10% people can create huge pressure on you. And you have to attend so many settlements, so many questions, so many queries. At the same time, making yourself available for this stretched time, I will say. So thank you very much for making you available in this situation. And I'm thankful to Shankar and entire Vibrant team for making this interactive webinar for almost 100+ people. And considering all the questions which are coming and the practical difficulty which we have, listening now, I request Shankar to arrange one more session separately, maybe post-COVID or in normal situation. We can have a more interactive session for the people, because as people are moving from manual work to digitalization, and I'm shaky while coming up with getting familiar with the technology and getting familiar with this situation. So thank you very much, Atul Kotkarji, for making you available for this stretched session. Shankar, thank you very much, and I do hereby confirm that session is concluded here. Yeah. Thank you very
on
much.
On behalf of Kotkar sir, I would like to take liberty that definitely he will be available for us for next session. I will take talk to him and we'll plan well in advance.
We'll do one. Yes, definitely.
Do one session for this. Thank you
we
so much,
sir. We don't have
sir.
much work now.
Yes,
we have just to can create awareness nowadays.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
we will be
In fact, sir,
definitely aware.
it was wonderful. In fact, the way the time got utilized, and it was your idea. You said that let us get questions in advance, and we have utilized this fantastic time, and we have
Because
answered.
same thing, many people know the PF fact in detail.
Yeah.
Handling his queries is important.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Chalo,
Thank you so much,
Thanks a
sir.
lot.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
very
sir.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for your
Thank you.
valuable
Yeah.
time. Thank you.